This conference will now be recorded.
So in this session, we are going to discuss about what is central finance and why we require the central finance applications and what is the structure of central finance applications. So here, the first basic prerequisite is, so the person need to understand the existing R3 architecture. That means I'm not talking about configurations and other stuff, but at least they need to understand what is table structure and what are the old tables. So like this, some little bit technical knowledge I'm saying. So that is required. And second thing is understanding the S4 HANA architecture is also required. That means S4 HANA finance. So the third step is we are coming to the central finance applications. And what is the main objective of this central finance means, especially to centralize all the business functionalities in finance applications, we are going to use central finance. That means some people will say this is only for reporting purpose. Some people will say this is for payment purpose. Some people will say for minimizing the configuration. And some people will say to simplify the migration. So whatever it may be, so the central finance is applicable to all the words. Let me see how it will work. So here, the main focus of this session is four important points. One is introduction to central finance. That means what we have done in the past, what we are doing in central finance, and what is the advantage after introduction of central finance, and deployment and data harmonization, and also implementing central finance. So when we are coming to the introduction to central finance, before going into the central finance, what the challenge we face in existing R3, first we need to understand. So many global organizations record their financial transaction on not one but several ERP systems, and then they combine this financial transaction for the purpose of consolidation and corporate reporting. So this is happening in existing R3. I'm saying the points which I'm highlighting right now, this is happening in existing R3. So there is no centralized structure. Some financial transactions are typically captured in ERP system, whereas others are not. However, even using ERP system does not guarantee the corporate reporting is simple, a matter of aggregating financial data from multiple systems. That means if you are going to collect the information from multiple systems, it is not possible in existing R3. So that what we have struggled, and in-time reporting is not possible. Some ERP systems will inevitably have been implemented at different times using different approach, or will be having acquired along with the acquired companies. The consulting approach to dealing with the disparity has often been defined as a global template at headquarters and gradually roll out to the various subsidiaries so that all parts of the organizations are capturing their financial transaction with similar framework. So this typically means virtually implementing financials and can be costliest and time consuming undertaking. This is what we face in existing R3. Now, after introduction of central finance, I'm not talking about S4 HANA. In S4 HANA, it's a part. So after introduction of central finance applications, what the things are get changed? Let me see. So here, when we are talking about central finance applications, the other side of the gaining of favor is to set up a central finance system that includes the best practice for financial reporting that have been evolved over the last several years and technical innovations that have been made possible recently with evidence of SAP HANA. See, don't say central finance is different, SAP HANA is different. Some people they are using like this. See, the underlying structure is required with HANA database, then only the central finance is applicable. So the strategic redesigning of financial operations. The central finance system collects financial data from each of the local system and combine them into harmonization for real-time structure. The idea of the global organization might want to combine financial data from multiple systems into one central system in central finance applications. Consolidation solutions have been gathered financial data from multiple systems, Harmonization these data and eliminate intercompany markups to provide consolidated financial statement for entering group for many years. Many large corporations have implemented one or more data warehouse to bring their data into structure suitable for financial reporting and planning. This is happened from 1503 onwards. When you see the versions of S4HANA, you know very well 1503 is the first release version. Most of us we think central finance is recently introduced. It is not recently introduced in 1809. It was there in 1503, but not successfully implemented. From 1511 onwards, the central finance applications has been introduced. And gradually, one by one, the coming versions, they developed this tool and successfully released in 1809. So that is the reason when anybody asks you, is central finance is new to SAP S4HANA? No, definitely it is not new. It is there from the first release version onwards. So when we are talking about the advantages of central finance applications, there are three major advantages are there. One is consolidating the systems. That means we have multiple system landscape is there. We want to consolidate all the systems into one system for reporting purpose. Say for example, if you take a document, say in existing R3, when we are posting a document, the document creates one document number, and subsequently it is not created with other document number. Say for example, you posted with CO document. The CO document is recorded only with CO document number only. It is not automatically synchronized into the financial accounting with FI document. So, or else any other cost of goods sold or like this, the hierarchy is not coming. But when you are coming to the central finance applications, when you post any transaction in CO, the CO generates a document with a different number in financial accounting as well. And subsequent documents also get generated automatically. So that means no need to integrate or reconcile multiple documents for reporting purpose. That is called consolidated system. And central reporting. So whenever the data automatically gets synchronized and when it creates supporting documents automatically, so automatically the central reporting will come into the picture. And central general, we know very well the universal general is the heart of S4HANA in any circumstance. So based on all these three fundamental principles, the central finance application is built. So when we are talking about the data harmonization, so that means organization running a data warehouse, we know very well business warehouse. The organization running data warehouse typically solve the problem of heterogeneous reporting structure by performing a huge mapping exercise as they move the data between different systems. Although this transformation works on paper, it makes the reconciliation the relevant data extremely challenging, especially in existing R3. When we are talking about reconciliation, so sometimes we are struggle to collect the information, and its most data warehouse cannot provide a drill down the original documents with the detail. Just now only I told you, when you post any CO document, the CO document reconcilate with FI and also the supporting documents. Automatically it will generate a different document numbers for the actual document number. That means the actual document number is different, but the supporting documents is also get updated so that it consolidate all the information for drill down reporting. So for this, what we need to do exactly? So normal chart of accounts is works, or else profit center will works, or else cost center will works. In fact, no. What we need to do is we need to build up the central chart of accounts. Say if we have two or three company codes. In fact, the basic fundamental principle is for company codes, if you have one or two company codes, we need to maintain the currency and also the fiscal year variant must be same. That is the fundamental principle. So if it is same, let us say this fiscal year variant and also the chart fiscal year variant and currency is same, then you can create a central chart of accounts. Like that, you can create a central profit center. You can create a central cost centers. You can create a central operating system as well as material master and customers and vendors. That means normally right now what we are doing is even in existing R3 or in S4HANA, we are creating one company code. Okay, so after creating the company code, whatever the data we required, say for example, we are creating a customer or vendor. You created this customer and vendor at the top of the company code. That means under that particular company code only you created the customer or vendor master, and it is synchronized to business partner. But the point here is, even if you have one or more company codes, let's say 3 company codes. So if you create one central customer and vendor in one company code, you can take this same customer and vendor with other company code also, or else the third company code also. That means no need to create the customer and vendor every time. So same customer can be processed into the other company code, or same vendor can be processed into the other company code, like that material master or operating concern, whatever it may be. That means this decrease our configuration and implementation cost. So because we are implementing with one company code, but it reflects with other company codes also. So that is the main advantage of central finance. And other point is the deployment. SAP offers more and more option to work in cloud rather than the classic on-premises approach. You know very well, because if you are familiar with S4 HANA Finance, you know very well what is on-premises edition, what is cloud edition. So the on-premises edition is a physical system and it is always recommended, and cloud edition is a Fury application. When we are talking about Fury applications, so most of the times we use for end user activities. That also we know very well. So especially when if you want to implement central finance application, there is a system architecture is there. You cannot use only on-premises edition, you cannot use only cloud edition, you cannot use only NetWeaver. So it is not like that. It's a combination of all the functionalities. And also the master data governance plays a key role in central finance applications, because it is going to govern all the functionalities with central system. Say for example, if you take like this, normally we have a ERP system, not S4 HANA system, ERP system I am saying. I want to replicate this data into S4 HANA. In normal scenario, if you see in S4 HANA finance applications, we are going to use system landscape replication tool. Here also it is required. System landscape replication tool plays a key role in the replication point of view. So it in transaction level or reconciliation level or harmonization level. So that means in between S4 HANA finance system and ERP system, we require a tool called system landscape replication tool. This need to configure in a proper way. So, but normal scenario, if you see in S4 HANA finance without central finance, we don't require master data master data governance in all the cases. But when you are coming to the central finance application, so the master data governance, existing master data governance tool, so this has been updated in business mapping. That means once the data is replicated, the central financial accounting interface will come into the picture. Then when we are talking about the business mapping, especially business mapping, that means the implementation, you can say, we are going to use master data governance for centralize all the functionalities. Say sometimes make some time the master data governance is not there. In that case, what you need to do is we need to do the normal business mapping and we need to proceed with the other activities. But when you have a master data governance, as I said, you created one customer in one company code that synchronized automatically to other company code, like that multiple company codes, whatever you kept as group company code. So automatically all the configuration will move into the different company codes. This is called master data governance will supports with business mapping. And then error correction handling. So error correction means, say you migrated some data from existing R3 to S4 HANA, fine. But especially when we are talking about errors, there is some errors which we are facing. If you are familiar with S4 HANA Finance, if you talk about brownfield implementation, normally we will face a lot of challenges in our real life. So these challenges made simplified, especially by using error handling. So that is given a separate tool is given in this central finance application. So at the end of the day, every data comes to the universal general. That means it look like existing S4 HANA finance, but when we are talking about central finance, especially in the migration, this is applicable only for migration. It's not for greenfield implementation. So especially in the migration point of view, the master data governance plays a key role in central finance applications. So when we are talking about the product process, so what just now we discuss so about the product process. Say for example, what is the role of SLT here? What is the role of ERP? You know very well, in existing R3 it creates some documents whatever we require, but when you are going to replicate this information into the central finance application, SLT plays a key role. What is this SLT and how it will work? So an SLT server makes the technical connections between local system. Because SLT works on database level, it easiest to integrate non-SAP system, as only the database of non-SAP system need to access without having to implement modification on its application server. So SLT can installed as a separate system on top of any of the source system or central finance system. Sir, SLT is only applicable in S4HANA, or else SLT is applicable even in existing R3? Lot of people have this question. So as per S4HANA standards, when we are talking about brownfield implementation, we are pronouncing the tool called SLT. But if you see logically, SLT is not only in S4HANA for replication of the data. SLT is there even in existing R3 also. But there what we are doing is just we are replicating the data from one system to another system, not from database to database. But here what we are doing is we are taking from Oracle database to HANA database. For that purpose, the structure is different. The SLT structure is different here. So this is implemented by technical team. It's not your responsibility to implement. But when you are talking about central finance, somewhat we need to know what is SLT and how it will work. Normally, if you are talking about S4 HANA finance, so okay, in brownfield implementation, the technical team will come into the picture. But when you are coming to the central finance, you need to understand how to implement SLT also. Then point number 2, master data governance. Once the data is replicated into the S4 HANA system, so master data governance plays a key role. So SAP S4 HANA Finance or SAP HANA as a central finance system, once the database is fed into the central finance interface, that means once the data came into the central finance system, it can be mapped to harmonization master data between the systems. This mapping either need to maintain manually, or if SAP master data governance is used for distributing master data, can be retrieved from SAP master data governance tool. Now normally in S4 HANA Finance, we don't require master data governance as a separate tool, because we are going to migrate from one company code to another company code, or multiple company codes to multiple company codes in S4 HANA. But here the concept is different. You are replicating one company code, but you are at the same time you are taking this information to newly created company codes also without doing any implementation. So the master data governance tool also we need to understand in order to understand how the data will be converted into the other company codes. Like that, master data governance or SLT. So SAP master data governance is optional, but here it is mentioned as optional, but every central finance people need to understand what is master data governance. That is mandatory because it plays a key role. So in the implementation point of view, some companies they are not using, some companies they are using. But if they are not using, then we call it as brownfield implementation with S4 HANA Finance. When they implement master data governance, then we call it as central finance application. However, a traditional approach in the installation of S4 HANA Finance or S4 HANA on-premises edition, but it is also possible to install the central finance instance and the necessary SLT replication server on SAP HANA Enterprise Cloud. So we required on-premises edition to work on this. So, and also we required some additional upgradations. Then come to cloud. This can be make sense if you do not want to include a new system instance in your existing landscape, and that will be considered the new service options for cloud operations that you think. So which option is best option? So whether it is a cloud option is best option or on-premises edition is a best option to implement the central finance. Many organizations perform the first proof of concept for central finance on just such as a cloud platform to avoid upfront investment in software infrastructure. This is only for testing, not for real implementation. If you want to really implement the central finance, we require source system, we require target system, we require SLT, we require NetWeaver, and also we require master data governance. All these tools plays a key role. Then implementing central finance. When we are talking about implementation of central finance, as I said, the S4 HANA finance, the traditional name, still some people they are using simple finance as a word. Please don't use that word, because from 1511 the central finance was introduced. At that point onwards, the simple logistics, central finance, and finance, 3 points are there. Whenever it is get upgraded from 1511 onwards, the name simple finance has been replaced completely to S4 HANA finance. Most of us you know very well. So the S4 HANA finance was the first software released that include code designing specially for use in central finance. The complete software stack includes the ECC6 EHP7. That means on HANA database I'm saying. In HANA database, we required ECC6 EHP7, NetWeaver, master data synchronization, so and also HANA database. If we have all these things, then we can work on central finance applications. Then system landscape. When we are talking about the system landscape, one of the key decisions that central finance project need to make whether to use the version, that means what type of version we can use. Most of the people have this question. Sir, we need to use 1503 or 1511 or 1610 or 1709 or 1809. Here the point is, so one of the key decisions that central finance projects need to make is that whether to use the version, what type of version they are using in SAP S4 HANA Finance. All versions includes the connectors for central finance. So the main decision is how to you want handle your master data, because SAP S4 HANA uses the business partner rather than customer and vendor, and long material numbers. So which version we need to use? This is a big controversy in central finance applications. Actually, central finance system is totally different, and S4 HANA finance system is different. Although these significant changes in logistics systems that are not nearly so critical in pure financial system, plenty of central finance projects have been already enmarked on S4 HANA 1511, and more are preparing to enmark on 1610, 1709, and 1809. Here the version is not a big deal. S4 HANA finance version, except 1503, you can use any version, because from 1511 onwards it is supporting. So you do not necessarily need to start with new system. It is possible to repurpose an existing system and upgrade it before depending on your journey. So if you are repurposing an existing system such as a treasury system, you have to perform, that means say for example, I have a treasury system in existing R3, like that finance system in existing R3, like that CO data in separate system. So I have the data like this. So in such scenario, so in such as a treasury, you have to perform migration for any general entries already in that system to remove the total records and index and merge related line items into a single universal general. So there won't be a big migration as for fully operating logistics and finance system, but it still needs to be included in project plan. So here we need to understand this logic behind the concept. So how we are connecting the multiple systems into one system, how this data is synchronized from multiple systems with one system, how the payments are get synchronized, how the data is transaction data is get synchronized with multiple system landscape. So these points we can understand from practical study. That's purely a practical point of view. Then when we are implementing the central finance applications, there is some structure is there. So what is that structure? So if you see the initial load data, so first of all, we need to collect all the information in initial load data. Then we need to perform with technical settings. So this technical settings means normally our technical team will take care of this. So that means they are designing the RFC connection from source system to target system, and they are mapping with logical system. All these things they are doing. Then general settings. General settings means it is not only one task. So we are talking about central finance. So central payments is required. So controlling objects is required. Document replication is required. So, and we are going to replicate all this information into the target system. So mapping selection. So mapping selection means, say you have taken some data from existing R3. I want to map this into S/4HANA Central Finance System. In this case, where we are going to map and how we are going to map plays a key role. And also especially bodies. Some bodies we need to activate. So that body also plays a key role. That means normally if you see in the system, most of the people we see this transaction code, but most of the people we think Central Finance is nothing but CFIN IMG. Actually, CFI, CFIN IMG. Most of the people we think this is a central finance. Actually, this is central finance only suitable to work on S/4HANA finance, not for master data governance and also to centralize the payments and all these things. So this is an instance which is taken from central finance system, but central finance system is totally different. It's a combination of SLT, it's a combination of central finance applications, and it's a combination of functional activities. So like this, there is a structure is there. So that we need to understand here. The implementation of central finance is in separate system, and harmonization between both the systems and replication between both the systems is also somewhat it is different. Then, so here when we are talking about the syllabus architecture, here the syllabus is totally different from S/4HANA Finance. Why? Because is here we require some technical knowledge as well as functional knowledge. So first of all, we need to understand what is the purpose of central finance and what is the central processing execution model, technical upgradations, deployment options. So customizing check in the source system. So first of all, the source system should be in a proper way. And then you need to understand how the system landscape replication tool will be customized. In S/4HANA, we don't require the customization of SLT, but here we require the customization of SLT, the complete structure. So then cloud integration, backup of postings, data logging, business mapping, and data digitalization and inbound postings, error handling, and drill down and audit trials. So I'm going to take this basics of central finance in 2 weekends. The first weekend is about these concepts, and the second weekend we are going to discuss about these concepts. And the third weekend, once the data is replicated into the central finance system successfully, then we are going to work with reporting process, advanced reporting, extended dimensional reporting, entity reporting, and group reporting. Then when you are coming to the financial process, so we need to concentrate on payables and receivables, accounting and financial close, cash management, controlling, and credit management. All this plays a key role here. And application interface. So master data governance, as I said, some people will say it is optional, but what I
What,
say is it's mandatory.
what about central payment?
Central payments is the internal part. Actually, here you are talking about this financial process. Central payments is the internal part of all the areas. It's not only one part. So master data governance, front-end tool and central finance application, rollout phase, and also system setup with replication tool with data integration, and business mapping with initial load and master data management. Finally, we need to come to the operations. When we are talking about operations, mergers and integrations, planning and process, risk management. So that plays a key role in this point. So risk management, understanding key performance indicators. So these are all the functionalities which we need to understand in central finance. It's a combination of pure technical and functional, but functional part is less, technical part is more, but that too it is relevant to finance applications. Okay, so this is the process which we are following, and total 6 weekends I required in order to complete this. So whatever the mentioned topics, according to that only we are moving. So this schedule will be provided to you and according to that you can plan. Okay. And come to the server access. So here, as I already told you, what type of server access we required. Here we required existing R3 in one system only. I'm saying in one GUI we required existing R3 with ECC6 EHP7, and also in the meantime, if you have a time, so you need to implement some data also. You need to create your own company code, and also you know very well about existing R3. So you need to implement your own data, which you know up to the some extent, whatever you know. Because when you are replicating, practically we need to see how it is replicating with your own data. Then existing R3 is required, and also the SLT, system landscape replication, is required in one system, I am saying. So existing R3, system landscape replication tool, master data governance, and also we required SAP HANA system along with NetWeaver and Fury. So that means all these things need to install on one system. Existing R3, SLT, master data governance, S4 HANA system, NetWeaver and Fury. So if it is like this, that means there are internally the SLT, master data governance, is additional topics here. But normally if you see in S4 HANA system, we know that NetWeaver and Fury is the internal part. So but here the master data governance plays a key role. So that is also required in order to customize this system. And the environment look like small difference compared with existing R3 and S4 HANA. So once we log in into the system, so you can understand what steps we need to implement and how it will.
Can you
And the
kindly
technical update is
can you kindly tell us about how to import non-SAP ERP data into Central Finance?
see non-SAP data to central finance we can migrate. That's not a problem. But the point is only transaction data only we can process. You got my point? So you have some postings, say for example, you are using PeopleSoft or else Oracle Finance. There is some postings are there in accounts. Now you can replicate this into S4 HANA central finance application. Fine. But the point here is mapping is plays a key role. That mapping we are concentrating only on transaction data. But before transaction data, some company code structure like this, we require some additional activities. Then you can map the transaction data. Okay. In that case also we are using SLT only. It's not a separate tool. Okay. Now if you have any questions, you can